Hello and welcome to the Broke But Not Broken BBNB podcast. I'm your host, Desticott, and this is episode B. I have to read this introduction because of a lot of background noise, so it's going to be a little bit of a jump cut here, and I'm going to go right into the episode now. I already broke my self-goal of trying to make these podcasts a weekly thing, but yeah, it's already been almost 2 weeks since my first episode. But again, this whole thing is it's a creative outlet in the end, right? And as long as I get it done, I feel like that is all that matters at the end of the day. So I have a couple of notes here that I wrote down throughout the past 2 weeks. So first of all, when I was listening back at the first episode, one of the things I noticed is that I made this like clicking sound with my mouth, which came a couple of times. That's one of the things I want to make sure I try to be mindful of going forward in this episode. Besides that, I thought the first episode was much better than I expected. It was coherent, I guess. It was easy to listen to, at least for me, listening back. I don't know about for others. And yeah, let's keep this going. Let's see if I can crank out another 20 minutes here, maybe 15 should be fine too, in my opinion. Quick back to setting here. I am near the beach, but I'm not on the beach. Potentially I'm actually near the highway, which might be worse. Let's see how this plays out. I have to try different settings to see what works best. Right now I can't go to the beach right now because there's a decent amount of people, and also it's like 100 degrees outside right now and the sun is like blazing. So I'm not trying to sit on the beach in this heat. I found a tiny spot of shade by the highway, and that's kind of where I'm doing this at the moment. Okay, so last episode I discussed that the title of this podcast is the Broke But Not Broken podcast, and I discussed that I got that title from a song. So I figured out what song it was. It's from the band Artist vs. Poet, like I thought correctly. It's like a pop punk band. And the song is called Broke But Not Broken, and it's on their album Favorite Fix. I actually listened to the song. I even listened to the whole album again, actually, and it was okay. It was okay. The song was pretty. The song itself, the Broke But Not Broken song, is good. I would recommend if you like that kind of music, like pop punk, alternate rock. The album itself, overall, not something I'd play in its entirety. Of course, unless of course you have a really strong bias against like pop punk music, then I say go for it. It's not bad. What else can I talk about? I have notes, so I guess I'll just go in order here. I discovered a new band. Well, new to me. It's not a new band in general, and I'm like a big fan. The band is called Foster the People. And a lot of you guys probably know this band from their song Pumped Up Kicks. It was like a radio hit a couple years ago, and it was played everywhere. I actually heard that song too myself, so that's the only song I ever knew like Foster People made. And that song itself, Pumped Up Kicks, was not a song I was initially a fan of, so that's why I never looked further into the band. Then my friend one day, he played a different song it's called Don't Stop on the same album as Pumped Up Kicks, and I was like, this is pretty good. And I kept listening, and it was catchy. I couldn't get it out of my head, and I decided to check out the whole album. And then I liked the whole album. And then they had two more albums. I checked them all out, and on the third album I found my favorite song of all time right now. It's called Pay to Man. I recommend every single person listen to the song Pay to Man by Foster the People. The song is a literal masterpiece. I cannot stop listening to it, although I should before I ruin it for myself, because I do that a lot with music. Anyways, maybe I became too big of a fan, and I went out and bought all three of their albums on vinyl. Thinking back now, I'm kind of regretting buying the second album because I don't like it as much as the first and the third, but they're only $20 a piece. It's not gonna kill me if I just keep the vinyls. I do have one rant though. I bought their third vinyl, which is called Sacred Hearts Club. It's the album that Paid a Man is on, from eBay. And the reason I bought it from eBay rather than like Amazon, for example, is because it was a special limited edition version of the vinyl. It was like colored pink, and I really wanted it. And that was the only listing I saw on eBay, so I decided to go for it. I actually won the bid for $45, and I think that was a good price I paid for it. But then when I got the vinyl and I decided to play it, I noticed an issue. The issue was that on the first two songs, the record skipped during the songs. Like, they would skip a couple seconds throughout the first two songs, and that might have not bothered me as much if these two songs were like the last two songs on the album. But here's the thing: the first song on the album is "Paid a Man." That's a song that like made me really want to get this album the most, and the record skips a little bit on that song. It's very minorly, but it's like multiple times. It's like maybe it cuts out 10 seconds of the whole thing, but it really ruins like the mood, right? When like, especially, yeah, it really ruins the mood for me of the song. And I was going back and forth, thinking like, should I return the vinyl? And I decided in the end I'm not going to, because I mainly buy these vinyls for like the ability to have like the giant version of the artwork, and just as a collector's piece, right? Just to collect. I mean, that's the main reason why I like the vinyls. I mean, playing them is like a consequence, and I am a little annoyed still. But you know, at the end of the day, like when I'm gonna be listening to music most of the time is gonna be digital anyways, right? And as a display piece, as a collector's piece, I think it's worth just still keeping. I am thinking about maybe emailing the seller and seeing if I can get some money back. I'll let you guys know next time if I do that, and if I do, what I hear back. Yeah, so Foster the People. Check out the band, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of you already heard of them. They make some really good songs, and now that I am a fan, I can't wait to see them on tour, hopefully, in the near future. What else? So, the band Rise Against, they also had a new album come out recently called Nowhere Generation. I was going to do a full review on that, because that's kind of one of the things I want to do with this podcast, kind of maybe find the full album and really do a decent like mini review about it, because I really am a fan of music, and I want to do reviews, but I feel like as isolation, it wouldn't be my strong suit. If I stuck in like a mini 1 minute review, I thought that would be like a good way to make up for that. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have a lot of fun listening back to this podcast, because I feel like there's gonna be a lot of background noise. I might actually do some editing, which I will say if I do in the next episode, whenever that is. I did no editing in the first episode, because I thought, besides the clicking, which I could get rid of, but I think it's important for me to keep that in there to see improvement. And I just realized I clicked it right now, so I'm going to keep that in there too, probably, just to see and compare how many times I do it in this episode versus the previous episode. You know what? I really think right now I am talking way too fast. So let me do as I did in the first episode. Just take a second, let me reset, let me slow down. Okay, so again, this podcast, half of the reason I do this podcast is to work on the clarity of my voice for interviews and just social interactions. So I need to slow down, and I need to make that priority in front of just talking. So even if I talk slow, it's okay. Like, honestly, I need to make sure every single word I say comes out clearly and just precisely. Anyway, so I was saying that Rise Against had a new album come out called Nowhere Generation. Rise Against is a rock band that I've dove in and out of. I've never really been a big fan, but I've liked a lot of their songs. And so I decided to check out their newest album, because sometimes I really like to judge their band on the newest album, even though there is a constant trend of the bands' older albums usually being their better work. I don't know why that is, but I do have speculation. It's not, I think it's about perception, right? I think it's the perception that you got into this band based on their first album, their older songs, right? And the band decided that they don't want to keep making the same songs over and over again, right? And in a way, a fan or a listener would not want to hear the same songs over and over again, right? So the band decides to experiment. They try to shift their music maybe a little bit off from the first album, or maybe even a lot off, right? So that's going to require their music to change, right? And even if the music is good, it's the fact that the music changes from what you originally fell in love with. It makes you feel like their older work was better, because you were invested because of a reason, and that reason is no longer being reinvigorated inside of you. So that's kind of like my thought process as to why older music is bad, and it's kind of what I try to think about for my own bands when they make new music, and I'm like, this is good, but it's not as good as their first album. But at the end of the day, as long as I enjoy it, I should think of it as like, hey, you know, this is still part of their discography, right? So I shouldn't, like, you know, if I don't have to listen to this, I don't have to listen to the songs. I can still listen to the old songs, right? They still exist, and that's the main point. What you fell in love with still exists, so feel free to always reach back for it in terms of music. So yeah, I was trying to, back to the Rise Against No More Generation album, I listened to it a couple times fully. I was trying to give it reviews, you know, give it like an actual review score and all that. But you know what? I really didn't care for the album that much, to be honest. Like, on top of my head, I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10. Just because, like, nothing's memorable to me. So I didn't really want to force myself to give a review. So I decided to drop that whole review for that album. I'll probably try again in the future to review an album. But right now, that album's not gonna be something I'm listening to in the future. Rise Against the band, they have a lot of great songs. I would also recommend checking them out. Okay, let's see here. What time am I at? I am at 13 minutes. Alright, so we can somewhat, in a way, wrap this up. So, I write poetry. I have not written poetry in a while. The height of my poetry speed writing was, you know, when I was like, I guess, I hate saying this word, and I'm going to go into that in a different episode, depressed, right? I'm not a fan of saying depressed, and I will go into that in a future episode. That's kind of like a big part of my life. So when I was depressed the most, I feel like that was the height of my poetry writing, because I would just churn out non-stop poems every day, even multiple poems. Right now, I'm not as depressed as I was, and also I've just I guess I'm also lazier. I'm much lazier and unenergetic than I was, which I guess my unenergeticness, low energy, is a consequence of my depression in a way. So I guess my depression has manifested itself in a way that hurts my poetry writing rather than helps it. Although, in the end, I don't want to be depressed in any way, even if it's the cost of writing good poems. So, but anyway, I've written 2 poems within the past week. I think they're pretty good. I'm not going to post them just yet. I want to post a poem every day, but I can't write a poem every day. So I want to like gather a collection of poems, maybe 10 or 20 poems, and then I can just post 20 days back to back to back, right? And I feel like that would look better for me, or make me feel better about, you know, productivity wise. So yeah, I write poems. Why do I write poems? Because I guess I'll go into this in the future again. I have this dream, which my dream in life is to be like the lead singer of like a rock band. It's not a dream that I plan on pursuing ever in my life, and I'm completely okay with that. Like, I can go into that more later, but anyways, being a lead singer requires singing, right? So songwriting is something I've always wanted to do, but I can't sing. I can't even talk. That's why I'm doing this podcast. Although that's kind of counterintuitive, because if you're doing a podcast, you should know how to talk. But anyways, let me see here. Okay. Anyways, what were we talking about? Yeah, singing. Yeah, songwriting is something I wanted to do, but I feel like songwriting is kind of, for me, poetry is songwriting. It's the way I can, like, control the flow of my words without having to be trapped in, like, the standards of, like, grammar and stuff. So I can rhyme, I can make rhythm and flow, and, like, so poetry is my songwriting. It's my songwriting without having to be a singer, without having to be able to play an instrument, which I don't know how to do, but that's something I might attempt in the future, like, much further in the future, not the near future. Although, the near future, I feel like people say the near future. I feel like sometimes they mean not literally near. They mean, like, just in the future in general. I have to look into that phrase. Would it be silly for me to look it up right now? I asked that, but I'm doing it anyways. The near future meaning. Let's see here. Oh, okay, so very soon, within a short time. Okay, so the near future means, like, I guess literally what I'm saying, right? The near future. So in the future, but really close. Not soon. All right, so we're at 16 minutes. I'm actually gonna stop standing in the same spot now, and I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna walk these last, like, 3-4 minutes, because I'm going to. What am I going to do? I'm going to just test how it is to walk and talk while making this podcast, because that's something I might want to do in the future. Another issue is that I am holding the microphone up to my mouth. It's a clip-on mic, but I'm holding it up to my mouth. I'm gonna try next time, or in a future episode, clipping the mic to my shirt and seeing the difference. I feel paranoid that it won't pick up anything if it's, like, tied to my shirt, because I know for sure it will if it's to my mouth. And I'm also looking at the timer and the sound waves, and I can see that it is picking up my voice. What else? I guess the other topics I've written down, they are not something I feel like going into right now, just because I don't think I have much to say about it. I'm stalling here. What am I stalling for? The point is not to force this, right? All right, so it's 18 minutes. I think I'm gonna cut it off here. I know this episode is probably worse than my first episode, which I'm pretty disappointed in, but at least I'm getting it out there. Hopefully not too much editing is going to be needed, but I think I will definitely be editing this episode. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day, and see you hopefully next week, for real this time.